All right. I'm also recording it from today. So if you guys have any doubt or any concern regarding the video, you can do ask. So accordingly, we can do upload the video and PDF and other contents also. So guys, I'm just gonna do revise again. So we actually discussed about the Palo Alto can do inspect traffic up to layer 7, means it can do inspect your layer 2, means it can do inspect your MAC address information, it can do inspect your IP based information, it can do inspect your port numbers, it can do inspect your services also. Along with this, it can do also inspect your payload part. So these things we already done, like payload, what actual data you are trying to send from source to destination, or what actually the payload you are traversing through network, that also be your Palo Alto firewall can do inspect. So we discussed like it is your NGFW, next generation firewall. Palo Alto also do provide you stateful function. You all know about stateful firewalling. It do maintain sessions. And we also discuss about the model numbers of Palo Alto, like Palo Alto having different set of model numbers. Hi, Yasir, I'm giving permission to record the session. Just wait. Yeah. Your Palo Alto box is available in a physical model as well. Virtual appliance is also there. So as per your requirement, as per your need, you can do use. Either you can go with this physical model, or you can do purchase VM versions. So VM versions are like PA 100, 200s, PA 300s. These are the models. And physical models are Palo Alto 500, Palo Alto 200, Palo Alto 800, and Palo Alto 2200 series is there, 32 series is there, 52. The most latest model is 7K. So guys, today we'll have to first understand this basic concept of firewall again, then we'll do start for the deployment types. I've also explained about this, the concept of zone-based firewalling. So again, I'm just going to do revise. Palo Alto is your zone-based firewall. So this, I'm going to explain it and we can do understand this. So let's say if I'm talking about this zone-based, so zone is nothing, it's just virtual term. It is just a logical term, or we can say it's just a basic term. And the basic function of zone is to provide grouping of interface. It do allow to group multiple interface. Group physical interfaces. So let's say if we have Ethernet 1, Ethernet 2, Ethernet 3, and there's one machine which is connected to Ethernet 1 and having IP address 10.1.2, and let's say other machine which is basically connected and having IP address 10.2.2, and let's say if I do try to ping from 10.1.1.2 to 10.2.2, so this kind of traffic will do consider as a same zone traffic. If we do consider these two interfaces in a zone which is called, let's say my zone is trust. If I do call these interfaces into a logical zone, or we can say a zone which is my trust, so these two interfaces basically will become a part of trust.
Hello?
Yes. Now, am I audible? Okay. So guys, I'm talking about this zone-based firewalling. So let's say these two interface I called into a zone which is called trust. So if I do send traffic from A to B, so this type of traffic we call same zone traffic or intra-zone traffic in terms of Palo Alto. All right.
Okay.
Let's say Ethernet 3 interface I called in a zone which is also a logical
And
untrust. So if traffic goes from trust to untrust, so this type of traffic known as interzone traffic. So the default behavior of Palo Alto firewall, if we do configure zones, so same zone traffic will always be allowed, and different zone or interzone traffic will not be allowed. So we'll have to just understand these two terms: intrazone policy, which is by default policy on firewall, and next is interzone policy. So the default action is for intrazone allowed. And log will not be provided by firewall, means we do not get log for this. Whatever the policy, whatever the rule hitted, or whatever the traffic hitted on this particular rule will not be provide any kind of log. And intrazone traffic will always be denied, and this also do not provide any kind of log by default. These two policies are there in Palo Alto to control the zone-based firewalling. All right. So if traffic goes from one interface to another interface, which is in same zone, will always be allowed. Let's say this is my trust. This is my trust interface, and this is my 1x1, and 1x2, 1x3. So if traffic goes from here 1x2 to 1x3, so it always be allowed. From which rule? Intrazone. If traffic goes from one zone to another zone, so it always be denied. Yes, there is these are the two default rules which is pre-configured. So today I will do show you these things, and we'll do have to understand the deployment types also. So zone, why we do creating zone? Zone, basically the basic function of zone is to just group multiple interfaces, and accordingly we can do allow or deny traffic. We can do call single interface in zone also. It doesn't mean that zone only do provide grouping of interface. We can do use a single interface in zone also. I can do call let's say one zone into DMZ where I placed my server. So this is also be possible. So zones are nothing. Zone is just logical term and where we called our interfaces. So for Palo Alto perspective, if you are like trying to learn Palo Alto, so the very first thing you have to understand the zone concept of zone. So there can be a possibility like multiple zones we can do use based on requirements. So the logical names people do use like trust, untrust, LAN, WAN. Accordingly, like people just give name. It doesn't mean like these names only you can use. You can do use any name, but it should be like proper as per like industry. So we can do use LAN, WAN, trust, untrust, or whatever. Anyone having any issue regarding this, like whatever we are learning about this basics about the zones and interface? If you have any concern regarding this zone, so you can ask. So Palo Alto always be required the zone configuration.
So, sir, Deepak this said. So, I just want to confirm one thing. Like, if we have a intra zone, so I think by default in intra zone the traffic is allowed, right?
Yes.
And in intra zone we need to do some configuration rules to make
We'll
the
have to create a rule to allow.
right.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's say if you want to control your intra zone traffic, so
Sorry.
you can do you can do disable this. You can do basically change the action. It is
Okay.
allowed, so you can say denied, and above then you have to create rule further also.
Okay, means by default intra zone traffic is allowed. If
Yes,
we
yes.
can deny, we can able to do that deny
We can
from that.
do then we can do. We'll have to explicitly allow.
Okay.
We have to
Okay.
create rules.
Okay.
Right?
Sure. Sure.
So as of now, like we are learning about the behavior, default behaviors. So that's
Okay.
we have to understand. So let's say if you do try to access the console of Palo Alto, let's say if you do try to access the Palo Alto firewall, so Palo Alto firewall or any device we can do use with GUI or CLI. Accordingly, we can do use GUI means graphics user interface, CLI command line interface. So basically, the default IP address on device is 192.168.1.1 and the default username and password is admin. So let's say if my box is, if I do consider a very small box which is PA200, so PA200 basically having 4 ports of Ethernet, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 management port. Management port is to manage the device. So the by default IP address on management port is 1.1. And these 3 and 4 interfaces we can do configure for actual traffic inspection. And this interface we can do use to control our policies, configuration, logging, and other things like configuration changes. Further, if we talk about some basic architect of Palo Alto, hardware architect, Palo Alto architecture, it look like this. There's two major things. First is your first part, which is called a control plane, and next is your data plane. Yes. According to Palo Alto model, data plane and control plane hardware will vary. So let's say if I do consider a PA500 mod 800 model, P800 model basically having 6 GB RAM, let's say, and 4 core CPUs, and hard disk which is let's say 250. So the hardware part we can do divide in data plane and control plane. So let's say if I do provide 4 GB RAM to my data plane and 2 GB RAM to my control plane, 2 core CPU to my data plane, and 2 core CPU to my control plane, and HDD hard disk drive, which is basically nowadays we use solid state drive SSD, which is let's say 250 GB. So the actual traffic inspection will always be part of data plane, means your IPsec configuration are for your routing, your policy inspection, your IPS signatures matching, URL filtering, your SSL inspection, everything basically consume your data plane. And control plane, we only used control plane hardware, this RAM allocation. So it is predefined basically based on model. You don't have to define, but you just have to understand the control plane and data plane. Control plane is for management purpose only. It do control your logging, policy configuration, and reporting part. These three tasks will managed by this control plane. And actual inspection will handle by data plane. So let's say if I do basically purchase this P800 model, so hardware will be divided accordingly as per requirement. So let's say the model basically having 800, so it always be divided into two parts. Hardware part means physical resources will always be divided into control plane and data plane. So the advantage of this control plane and data plane division is that, let's say if your traffic utilization or traffic inspection on physical box is going around 70 to 80%, and you are trying to fetch a report of 3 GB log, so it doesn't gonna hamper like your data plane. It doesn't hamper your data plane inspection, or it doesn't basically affect the log fetching process. We can do easily fetch the log because there is separate hardware resource which we are trying to use as a control plane. So this is the basic architect of Palo Alto. So if I do show you again, let me just show you again, then we'll do start this thing. So every basic architect or model having this control plane and data plane. If you do start even PA200 model, so you can check there's control plane, and control plane only having the management interface, which is basically responsible for configuration, logging, and reporting. And there is separate hardware, CPU, RAM, storage. And here for data plane, you can check RAM is there, CPU is there. All yes, we cannot do change. It is basically predefined. It is internal infrastructure, which is based on like hardware resource as per the model number. It basically already divided by your Palo Alto. So signature inspection, matching, security processing, URL, app ID, user ID, policy matching, these things basically comes under data plane. So we have this kind of architect in Palo Alto. So which is quite good. Means if you are trying to fetch a report or a particular log of 5 GB, 4 GB, so it do not going to hamper further data plane resource because there is separate hardware. So which is called control plane and data plane. So in every model you always get like this, data plane and control plane. So accordingly, even let's say, okay, there is one question for you guys. Let's say we are trying to use VM based machine or VM based license. So if you are trying to use the Palo Alto VM based model and you are trying to use PA300, so how basically it take place, like how it do control data plane and management plane. So if you do try to enable the license of PA300, so let's say if you are trying to enable this license with 4 GB RAM, 4 GB virtual RAM, and you have one VM setup and trying to just enable, so it just get denied. Why? It says like for PA300 there is minimum 8 GB RAM is required to get the actual throughput, to get the performance of this model, to get the performance of this particular license. You have to just fulfill this requirement. Yes, it always do ask, even in case of VM, if you are not fulfilling this minimum requirement, so you won't be able to enable the license for PA300. All right. This point get clear to everyone like what I'm trying to explain? So even in case of VM based machine, it do divide control plane and data plane. You can check at every model, it mentions 4 core for the rest, 2 core for management. So accordingly, based on model number, it basically do provide a division. Or chipset based division, 6 core CPUs there and 2 core CPUs there. Anyone having any issue, you can ask me regarding this, because these are the basics. If you are good in basics, so you can do understand this thing very easily. So guys, let's say if I do try to access my box. So basically Palo Alto having CLI modes, 2 CLI modes. First is your operational and next is your configuration mode. 80% task we can do perform with the help of GUI itself. So if you do try to access Palo Alto box, so let's say if I do try to access first time, so it look like this. Greater than sign shows you are at operational mode. All show related commands we can do run here. Means if we do want to check configuration, so we can do run show config, show routing routes, show system info, everything regarding show we can do run here. It is very similar to Cisco privilege mode, and some operational commands like we can do restart device, we can reboot, we can do shutdown, we can do perform software upgradation. These things we can do also perform from this operational mode. And the configuration mode basically allow to perform a kind of changes which is based on configuration. We can do perform policy changes, we can do perform routing changes, we can do perform interface changes, we can do perform netting changes. These configuration changes we can do perform from this configuration mode. So let's say if you do want to access this configuration mode, so how it look like? So you just have to, in order to get, or in order to access your configuration mode, you have to mention the command configure. Once you do mention configure command, you get a configuration mode and symbol just got changed from greater than to hash. So it basically shows now you are accessing your configuration mode. So you can do perform every change from your related configuration. So guys, these things actually we done in last session. Those who have like a new for new candidates, I'm just gonna repeating these things. Otherwise, we can do start from deployment itself. So let's try to perform the first deployment of Palo Alto. Deployments means how we can do like use Palo Alto in production networks. So basically, Palo Alto having interface types, different interface types, which basically do provide different types of deployment. So if we do talk about Palo Alto interfaces, so it has L3 interface, L2 interface, vWire interface, and tap mode. So as per requirement, we can do use these interfaces: L2, L3, vWire, tap mode. So based on interface, we can do use. So first, we'll do cover this L2 and vWire today. So L3 and vWire. L3 is basics, means IP based configuration we can do perform, and vWire is basically example of transparent firewalling, means how we can do use Palo Alto without any change in existing setup. Let's say there is a setup where we have ASA firewall and having old setup which is already running. So how we can do fit our next generation Palo Alto firewall in existing scenario without performing any kind of infrastructure change, without performing any kind of routing change, how we can do set. So these things we'll have to understand. So guys, I'm going to do start from L3 configuration itself, like how we can do access, and we'll have to understand the basic of lab also, like how we can do perform the lab. So I'm going to show you the lab access. So let's say if I do try to access lab. So in order to access, we just have to mention this URL on this, and we just have to type the username and password. And let's say this is my first L3 deployment. So guys, in our lab, we have physical devices also, PA500 model, as well we have virtual operating system. Yes, yes, can we access? Yes. Before starting anything, Palo Alto operating system versions you should have to know. So as of now, Palo Alto versions or PAN versions are there, which is 7.0, which is quite old. So people are not using this. 8.0, which is stable version. Most of the companies using this PAN OS version. And 9.0 is the most latest one. So accordingly, we do use. We have both, like all three versions. So let's say in order to access Palo Alto device in your lab, first you have to log in and you have to just right click and select node, and here you get the Palo Alto. So in order to select your Palo Alto, you just have to mention Palo Alto, and you can check operating systems are there 7 and 8. So as of now 8 is showing here. Once we required, I'll do add here 9 also. So you just have to click here and then save it. Once you do save, the very next thing, like for firewall we do require internet. So in order to access internet, we'll have to select the network type. So just right click and select network. So the very first thing, like if you try to give internet on your firewall, you'll have to select the internet type, which is cloud one. I'll explain what is cloud here. There's nothing a cloud basically. It's just my physical interface of server which I'm using here. In order to connect this interface to this Palo Alto, we'll have to just drag and connect with first interface. Well, let me just explain what exactly this. So this is my, let's say, WAN interface, and I have connected this interface, and this is my internet or cloud one. This is actually my server port which connecting to a physical router, and physical router having 192.168.101.1 IP address or interface. This is actually private. For my lab, it is acting as a public. So because I have just translated this range into my WAN IP. All right. So in order to access internet, I always have to use 192.168.101 dot range. So I'll do allot you IP address, and I'll do show you how we can do access internet and other things. So it basically become very easy. So you just have to remember one thing. Cloud one basically connecting me a physical router, which is basically having 101.1 IP address. So if I do enter any IP address which is in the range of 101/24, so I can do ping this 101.1. Yes, I'll do show you. And in order to access the management console, means to manage the device, we'll have to connect management port of Palo Alto with management cloud, which is cloud 0. It is also my physical interface. So I'll just do manage. I'll just do mention here management. So it just become management, and here we'll have to connect with only management port of Palo Alto. Otherwise you won't get access. You have to be very careful. In order to access your Palo Alto device, you always have to connect with this management port. Otherwise you won't be able to access. So just say okay. So guys, next thing, what IP address you get from this management range. Management range basically having a IP subnet which is 172.16.1.0/24, and there is one physical access point of UI access point actually, and access point having IP address 172.16.1.1. So every time whenever you do connect your device, so by default management port of Palo Alto is on DHCP mode. So you get automatically IP address on management port. Any IP of this particular range you can get. All right. So if you do try to access your device from this IP range, so you always get access. Which machine or which device basically trying to serve as a DHCP, that is basically nothing, just access point, UI access point, which is basically having IP subnet of DHCP, and it is connecting to this Palo Alto. And below these two things you have to only remember. Rest you can do connect any device, any IP range. So let's say I want to use LAN segment or my trust network I want to add with this Palo Alto. So this link will become my WAN link. This is my management link. And further I do connect with the Cisco device, Cisco switch. So in order to access Cisco switch, we have to click on Cisco VL2 and just drag one connection to this. And further we can do show users. So for testing purpose, you can do add these Windows users. Windows 8 and Windows 7 is there. So you have to just select Windows 8. So just click on here and you can do connect these machines from switch. So connect it accordingly. So this is my LAN infrastructure. So now scenario is very similar, like which we required in case of firewall. We required LAN, we required WAN, we required management, we required DMZ also. LAN or trust, where my users are sitting. So this interface basically leading. You is on that server, right? Yes. The management port is connected to. Management port is connected to management switch. Management switch, right? And the Ethernet port is connected to switch. A different switch. Yes. Right. So the IP range of that switch is 192.168. Different switches basically leading different IP ranges. Or we can say there is a VLAN kind of segregation. So layer 3 deployment of Palo Alto we are trying to understand. So the next thing I also have to show DMZ, which is called demilitarized zone. So where we do keep or where do place our public servers. So DMZ is nothing. It is also a term of firewall. If anyone basically is saying like DMZ, so it means a person is talking about a place where the servers are there in organization. So let's say this particular, these two devices I'm just going to treat as a server, or we can use server also. As of now, I'm just mentioning here. So 1 by 3 is basically leading to DMZ. DMZ is nothing, demilitarized zone. Why we do keep separate DMZ? Because here we do place our public servers and people can do access, or anyone can do access my public servers, and hacker or attacker can also do access my DMZ machines. If these DMZ machines get infected, so it is basically only in a separate, or we can say in a DMZ zone, so it doesn't affect my LAN or trust. Otherwise, if I do place this server in same zone like LAN, so if these machines get compromised, so there might be possibility my LAN or trust machines also get compromised. So in order to prevent this kind of situation in production network, we do always keep separate public zone or servers, which is logically we call demilitarized zone. Is it clear to everyone? So this is my very simple topology where one interface 1 by 2 leading to LAN, 1 by 1 is leading WAN link, 1 by 3 is basically leading to DMZ. And I'm going to do configure IP range also. So let's say IP range which I'm using here 31/24. I do basically allot IP address to everyone, which IP, which is basically your individual IP. So 31/24. I'm gonna do use on my WAN link. And the LAN link basically having IP address 10.1.1.1. And DMZ, in DMZ, let's say I'm using the subnet of 10.2.2.1 on Ethernet 2, and similarly we do use IP addresses on these machines. So this is my topology, and IP subnet in management, which is 172.16.1.0/24. This is my IP subnet which I'm using here in management. So it is very similar, which we discuss. Anyone having any issue regarding this layer 3 deployment? Layer 3 deployment means we'll have to configure IP address on Palo Alto interface. If you guys have any issue regarding anything, you can ask me, because I'm going to start now some basic configuration. So let's try to start all nodes. Once you do, as of now it's showing basically stopped. So in order to start your devices, you'll have to just start all nodes. Once you do start all nodes, the color of devices get changed. It's become colorful, and if you do click on any device, you just get simply access. So let's say if I do try to access this Windows machine, so you just have to click on here. Once you do click, you just get the access of Windows. After some time, it shows the prompt to log in. In very similar way, if you do click on this DMZ router, so you just got access. Yes. So let's say those who have concern, like, is it only local, or if they try to access from home. So in order to access from remote place, you'll have to just do MSTSC on this URL, and you'll have to connect. Once you do connect, you have to just use your username and password and the very same kind of environment or access you got. So let me just configure IP address on this DMZ server. So let's say I'm giving the name of this my Windows device, first host name DMZ server 1, and I'm going to do configure IP, which is 10.2.2.2. interface 0 by 0. So the IP address on server 1 I've configured 10.2.2. On server 2, which is basically having 3725 and device ID number is 8. So just click on here. You got the access of this device also. So these routers basically going to work as a server, let's say. So simple, because I'm going to do configure few services only in order to understand. 10.2.3.255.255.255.0 no shut, then exit, exit, right. So this is DMZ device 1, this is my DMZ device 2. I'll just do, I'm just going to do change the host name, so DMZ S2. And I've configured IP address, so I can show you. Yes, IP is there. So let's try to ping 10.3.3.2 to 10.2.3 to 10.2.2.2. So it is working fine. And I've just accessed this Windows machine. So you just have console of Windows. So click on here and you'll have to mention the username and password. So username password is basically, you can do check from hint also. 7@123. This is the password on Windows machines. So this is my window machine, which is basically part of Trust. So in very similar way, you can do access these switches also. So let's try to access first Palo Alto now. Click on Palo Alto device. So you can check you got the IP address, which is 1.77. Why so you automatically get IP address on this device? Because there is a DHCP server in rack, which is basically connecting me via this management cloud. So you can do also understand this is basically kind of switch. So let's try to enter password and username, admin. So guys, when you try to access your Palo Alto device, so it take around 2 minutes to start. Means services get properly start after 2 minutes. So you just have to wait around 2 minutes or 3 minutes when you do start first time your device. So you can check the CLI mode shows greater than shine, which is basically your operational mode. So let's try to use the commands like show system info. So it basically gives the basic information about this Palo Alto device. So the model, which is VM version, IP address is this, network mask, the gateway. So, and the IP assignment method, which is DHCP. MAC address, everything it shows. Version, operating system version. In CLI, you can do use question marks or tab also. So if you do press tab, so it shows like everything what you can do run. So if you do try to use show config running, so it basically shows you all running configuration, whatever running here. In order to stop this, you have to press Q, quit. So let's say if I do try to check interface detail, show interface all. So as of now, I haven't configured any interface, so it doesn't show interface all, hardware, show interface hardware all. If you want to like separately try to check about the hardware details, show interface hardware, show interface, you can do check logical is there, management is there. So there is very easy command line. So accordingly you're going to use. It is very similar to I think Cisco. If you have idea about Cisco's, like we can do use question marks and all. So in order to access your configuration mode, you will have to just mention here configure and then enter. Once you do mention this configure, and you just get the access of config mode. Admin hash, which is basically showing your configuration mode, means we can do perform any kind of configuration change. So the first configuration which I'm going to show you, like how we can do change this management IP from DHCP to static. So the first command which we have to use, set device config system type. So it is by default in DHCP client mode. If we want to change from DHCP client to static, so we'll have to change the type, which is static first. If you just type commands, so it doesn't basically commit. If you do perform any kind of configuration change and you just saved it, so it always be part of candidate configuration. If you want to be reflect your configuration changes, you have to be commit. Once you do commit, so your configuration changes will reflect into a running configuration. So means unless we commit it, it won't be showing me into my running configuration. So whatever the configuration changes we do save, it always be part of this candidate configuration. So in order to backup, in order to restore, it always do ask whether you try to perform backup or restore process for candidate configuration or running configuration. So running configuration means whatever the configuration changes you applied, that basically will become part of running configuration once you do commit or once you do perform commit. So let's say if I change this device config system type static, so it doesn't actually change. If I do check, so in order to check, we'll have to again use this show which command, show system info. You can check static, doesn't showing here, showing only DHCP. So means unless we do commit, it doesn't basically reflect. So if you are trying to perform configuration changes, so after multiple configuration changes, you can do perform single commit. So let's say I've changed it, but it is now part of my candidate configuration, so it isn't showing in configuration. So in order to like perform the configuration changes to reflect in my configuration, we'll have to commit. But before performing this commit, I'll do perform few more changes, like I'll do change the IP address from 77 to some static IP. So let's say I'm trying to give IP address on my management interface, which is 1.7. So how we can do configure set device config system IP address 172.16.1.7 net mask, which is 255.255.255.0. By default IP address on management device is 192.168.1.1, which is always be on management device, management interface. So in order to change, we can do use this command. And after then we can do use the default gateway. So default gateway is 1.1.1, and DNS server, let's say if you want to configure. So DNS settings, servers, primary 4.2.2.2. Secondary, you want to configure secondary also. So you can use this command. All right. After then you can do perform commit. Once you do commit it, so the whatever the changes you perform, that basically get applied, and that actually shows you that reflect in your configuration. Anyone having any issue regarding this, you can do ask. All right, so we done it. Now we'll have to just exit, and we'll have to check whether it is showing or not. So you can check the configuration changes will appear here, and it's showing 1.7, and mask and IPs just become static. So now it's showing static. So let's try to ping it. So as I already told you that from management side, my gateway would be 172.16.1.1.1. This is my gateway. So in order to check connection, we'll have to ping from gateway. So if you do simply type ping, so it doesn't work. You have to use host, ping host. So you can check it is basically accessible. And now it's time to access the GUI of Palo Alto. So in order to access GUI, just have to type HTTPS. Guys, one more thing you have to remember on management interface, there is only 3 services allowed. HTTPS means we can do access our physical box from port number 443, or we can do use SSH, which is port number 22, or we can do ping, means ICMP services allowed.
Can we also use other interfaces like or WAN or LAN for management purposes for remote
Yes, we
fetch
can do change.
or
Default configuration, we can do allow other interfaces, but in default condition, it doesn't allow.
okay.
Later, I'll do show you how we can do change.
Sure.
You can also do check with the command source system services. So HTTP disable, HTTPS enabled, Telnet disabled, SSH enabled, ping enabled, SNMP disabled. So in order to access, you always have to mention HTTPS and IP address of the device. So IP address of the device is 1.7. Yes.
These services for the global interface, right? But
These
what if
basically enable only for management interface?
okay, only for the management interface?
Let's say if I do try to access this box from IP 10.1.1.1, so it doesn't allow. All right. It is only for management. In order to allow to access your Palo Alto device from LAN trust interface, you always have to be applied management profile where we allow services Otherwise, it won't be allowed.
So can we check these services on a particular interface to
Yes,
CLI?
yes, we can do check it. I'll do show you once we do access. All right. So see, I've just typed 1.16.1.7 and device basically showing me the console, and you can do access it. Proceed. Admin. Just type default password admin. You just got access. So this is my operating system, PAN-OS 8.0. So this is basic dashboard information, which basically shows general device model, MAC address, management IP, serial number, and operating system version. Login details, who is trying to access your box, system logs, configuration commit, everything. So in order to configure interfaces, we'll have to select this network portion. But before starting any interface configuration, I will do show you the default policies for intrazone and interzone. So to just check default policies for interzone and intrazone, we'll have to click on policies. So you can check intrazone default policy. Intrazone default policy says allow. That I was talking. Intrazone means from same zone, if any traffic come, so it always be allow. For different zone, it always be denied, and it do not provide any kind of log also. If you do click on here, so you can check there is no log even at the time of session start or at the time of session ending. It doesn't provide any kind of log. So in order to change the behavior, you have to click on override. If you do want to change these default behaviors, you have to click on log at the session start or end. Guys, just 1 second.
Hello. Hello.
We cannot hear you, man.
So guys, you can check intrazone default basically shows log and everything, which is basically as per expected. And interzone read only, and it is also do not provide any kind of log. In order to change the default behavior, we have to just click on override, and accordingly we can do allow or deny also. So these two default rules are there in every box. Either it is having 7.0, 8.0, because your Palo Alto is totally zone-based firewall. So let's try to configure the very first interface, which is Ethernet 1x1. So first I'll do show you how we can do configure interface with the help of GUI. After then I'll do show you interface configuration with the help of CLI also. So just try to access 1x1 interface. Interface 1x1 I'll do configure with 101.31. So just click on here. So before starting any configuration, we'll have to configure zones also. So in this topology, we'll have to configure 3 zones: DMZ, untrust, and trust. So in order to configure zones, you have to just click on zones and select add. So I'm giving the name L3 trust. So you have to be very careful. If you do not select here L3 interface, so it doesn't shows. So you just have to select type, which is L3, and you can directly call your interface now. But we haven't configured any interface, so just left blank and say OK. Again, next interface, which is L3 on trust. L3 and then OK. DMZ and interface, which is L3. L3 trust, L3 untrust, L3 DMZ. These 3 interfaces basically requires different zones. So accordingly we configure zones. Now we'll try to configure interfaces. So click on interface 1x1 and select this L3 interface type, because we have to configure IP, and come here IPv4 and give IP address 192.168.101.31/24. This is the IP address on my interface, and then you have to select zone. So it is asking on which zone you are trying to call this interface. So 1x1 is basically part of my L3 untrust. So we'll have to select this and virtual router, which is basically about routing table. So the default routing table on Palo Alto is having the name default. So you just have to click default. I'll do show you what is the meaning of this routing table. For initial configuration, you always have to select with this default. Later we'll do understand about this virtual router also. So in order to configure interface, you always required 3 things. For L3, first is IP, next is routing table, which is default, and last, which is zone. Then click OK. So again, you can check the same. Here we have option to commit it. Otherwise, if you want to save it, so you can just save change. So the next interface, which is 1x2. So in order to configure 1x2, again we'll have to come here and we'll just have to select L3, and we'll have to assign the IP address. So IP address would be 1.1/24, and configurations. So routing table, which is default, zone, which is L3 trust, say OK. So you can check these 2 interfaces I've configured. And the last interface I'll do configure with the help of CLI. So you can do also understand the same thing. So in order to make it permanently change the configuration, you have to just commit. And I also do perform some basic changes like device config. We can do change the host name, my Palo Alto, banner. We can do set this is only for authorized user. And time zone, accordingly we can do choose Indian time zone. Now say okay. You can check DNS configuration we already did with the help of command line. So it's showing in order to configure NTP, if you have NTP server, so you can do mention here primary secondary. So later we'll do add NTP also. So now let's say if I do try to commit. So before committing, we can do change. We can also compare the changes like what we actually done. We can do compare manage this running config and candidate config. So you can check. There is basically three symbols: add, which basically shows with green; modify, with shows with yellow; pink, basically leading to deleted or delete. So first you just check this running configuration and candidate configuration. So earlier running configuration having a blank, it doesn't have any configuration. Interfaces are there, but configurations are not there. So that's why it's showing with yellow color, means we done some kind of modification. We performed some changes. So we done configuration on interface Ethernet one by one. We made actually layer 3. We configured IP address 101.31. We allotted this into a default routing table, and one more interface we configured, which is 1 by 2, which is also L3, an IP address which I have configured, that is also showing. So interfaces basically we configured, that basically showing. And the last, you can check time zone also we modified. Last one is US Pacific, and host name my Palo Alto. Login banner was not there. There was actually no login banner. So I've just added some words in login banner, which is basically this is only for authorized users. So it's showing with green. So whatever you do add new, that always be shows with green. If you do modify, it shows yellow, and if you do basically delete, so it shows with pink. So whatever you perform, it is showing in candidate configuration. Once I do perform commit, so it become part of running configuration. That actually I was trying to explain. So let me just try to commit it. Once you do commit, you can do change. So you can check now it's showing interfaces and it's showing up. Let's try to check the routing table. You can check name also got changed. It's showing my Palo Alto. Show routing route. So routing table having two interfaces. One is 1 by 1. Another 1 by 2. 1 by 2 is having IP address 10.1.1. 1 by 1 is 101.31. In order to ping next hop, WAN side we have next hop, which is 101.1. So let's try to ping the next hop 101.1. So we'll have to mention this ping host. If I do mention like this ping host 101.1, so basically it doesn't ping Why so? Because every traffic which is basically I'm initiating from firewall, it uses exit interface, which is management. So in order to ping from a specific interface, we'll have to mention the IP address also or interface IP also. Otherwise, it will not gonna work. So we'll have to add one more thing, which is source 192.168.101.31. Then only it will work. Otherwise, it always trying to fetch or trying to send a traffic towards management. You can check now it's working fine. So these basic things you always have to keep in your mind. Accept management interface, whatever the traffic, whatever the network you are trying to use from a specific interface, you always have to add the source IP or exit interface IP in order to check connection. Otherwise, it will not gonna work. So my WAN link is there. So guys, the very next thing, let's say if you do want to allow, if you do try to allow internet, in order to allow internet or in order to avail internet on your device, you have to set static default route, which is the basic requirement to configure internet on firewall. So we can do add here in routing table route. So we can check. If you try to check the routing table from GUI, so you have to come here, virtual routers. Under virtual router, these two interfaces basically showing me. So you just have to click here and select static route. So before, like if we do not have a static route and if we do try to access this internet from my IP range, so it doesn't work. So in order to access internet, we'll have to mention one static default route, and you just have to select the destination, which is 0.0.0, static default route, and exit interface, which is let's say 1 by 1. So exit interface is 1 by 1, and the next hop IP. For WAN side, we have next hop IP, which is 101.1, and you just have to simply click and say OK, and then commit. Once you do commit, your firewall will basically able to connect to outside, means it can do connect with google.com, Facebook, Yahoo, YouTube. It can do access any website which is hosted on internet. So you just have to remember these things. If you do try to access or if you try to avail internet on any device, first you have to configure WAN IP, then you have to just give default route, static default route in order to provide internet. So let me just try to check it. You can check internet is accessible from my WAN interface. If I do try to ping Facebook, so I can do access Facebook. I can do ping it actually any public IP. So we verified our WAN link, we verified management link, we verified LAN trust. But as I told you, if you do try to ping or try to access your Palo Alto device from any other interface, it won't allow. So let me try to send any traffic or trying to access from Windows 3, which is basically, let's say, having IP address 10.1.1.3. And 1.1.1.2/24. And in order to configure IP in Windows, you just have to come here and change adapter settings. Properties, IP version 4, 10.1.1.2, and public DNS I can give. Gateway would be interface IP address of the firewall. So you just have to click OK. Okay, again, close. So you can check, you just get the network. But let's say if I do try to ping my firewall interface, firewall interface basically having 10.1.1.1, which we configured. So it is not working. What I've told you earlier, like if you do want to allow traffic or any service on other interface like SSH, HTTP, ping, so you have to configure management profile. You have to allow, even if interface is part of trust, it doesn't allow to ping, it doesn't allow to perform HTTP, SSH, telnet. So in order to allow, you have to configure interface management profile. So most of the time, if you do check organization configuration, so people do use this interface management profile only for LAN or DMZ interfaces. People do never use management or interface profile for WAN interface. Sometime for testing purpose they use, but usually no one uses. So if you do click here, so it asks for the management profile. So you can just give name, my profile. So it is asking about what administrative management services you want to allow, what network services you want to allow. So I'm saying I want to allow ping and SSH as well as HTTPS. These three services I want to do allow. As well, accordingly we can do use ACL to permit or deny. So first we'll do simply use, then we'll do try to perform ACL also. So management profile is there, and click on interface. Once you do click on interface, and let's say I want to allow these services from Ethernet 1x2. So in order to allow these services from Ethernet 1x2, we'll have to click on 1x2. From which interface we want to allow, that interface we'll have to select, and accordingly we can do call our management profile. So I'll just do click on advanced, and here you can check management profile option is showing. So whatever the profile you configured, it shows here. So accordingly you just have to click my profile and then say okay, then yes. So you can check I have applied, and now in order to check we'll have to commit it. So once you do commit, we can do ping a firewall from the interface. So you can check there is continuous ping which is running from my trust machine, which is Windows 3 and having IP address 10.1.1.2. Let's just check it and then we'll do move on other task. You can check once your policy get applied, you are getting reply from the interface. Anyone having any issue regarding this management profile interface configuration? I have allowed three services: SSH, HTTPS, ping. So accordingly we can do use. So let's say if I do try to perform SSH. So in order to use SSH, we'll have to mention IP address along with port number. Now you just have to click open and you got the access. All right. So whatever the services you do allow on management interface, the same will you get on interface. Login banner is also get applied. You can check. This is only for authorized user. So you got the access of this follower to device from your trust machine. let me just show you some restrictions which is based on management. So this time I try to perform like I only do want to allow Telnet, SSH and these services from Windows 3. REST machine should not do, ping should not do, SSH should not do, HTTPS. So how we can do restrict it? So we'll have to just perform a very minor change, which is in profile. You have to click on profile and you can define permitted IP address. So I'm just going to say you have to permit only 10.1.1.2 and click and say OK. And now commit. Is it clear to everyone what I'm trying to do? And now just come on Windows 4 and trying to use machine which is having 10.1.1.3 IP address. Again, to use this machine also Windows 4, 5. So Windows 4 is there. So in order to check, we'll have to log in into device. If you just forget about the password, so you can do check password hint. So you just have to use the same password which is in hint. 1, 2, 3. Here it is only showing 2, but the password is @123. So just click and say next.
So is there any scenario wherein you can call the management, for example?
Yeah, the scenario is like if administrator is basically sitting here on LAN, so you do have to allow service for administrator. So in order to configure your devices, it always do access.
So in that case,
We can do allow.
he cannot access the management code.
We can
So
do
in that case, he can.
yes.
In that
If like if your administrator is a part of management subnet as well part of LAN trust, it always do sit like on management as well. It always try to access from LAN trust. So in that case, we can do allow. It basically design perspective. So accordingly, we can do allow, deny services.
Sir, here we are allowing the services on the basis of interface, right?
Yes.
Or we are allowing these services on the basis of IP address. Management services. I'm talking about the management services.
If we are performing ACL, so it is basically based on IP. If I'm saying like to allow deny service based on interface, so it means we just do enable the service, nothing else.
Suppose a person is sitting on 10.1.1.3 and we have to provide the management services to the particular IP of that.
So you can do mention permitted IP that I was showing you. Let's say again, if you need one more person who do try to access, you can do mention here. So 10.1.1.2 and 10.1.1.3 can do access. It is very similar to ACL, which is based on IP, nothing else.
I thought we are allowing on the basis of
IP, yes. And if I'm saying interface based services, so it means I do allow service to the firewall, means people are trying to hit on the interface of firewall. So that service we do allow. So if you do not enable HTTP on firewall, so how people can do access? Because firewall will deny these services. So in order to allow these services, we'll have to configure profile, nothing. So I've just configured the IP address, which is 10.1.4. If I do try to ping, so it doesn't basically allow. It only do allow from the permitted IP. So what IP we permitted? 10.1.1.2. Let me check. And let's say if you want to allow this machine also, which is having IP 10.1.1.4. So what we can do, we'll have to just add 10.1.1.4. We can do allow whole subnet 10.1.1.0/24. We can do allow particular IP range also. So we have like lots of options. Accordingly, we can do manage. So click on here. So guys, there is one question for all those who understand. So let's say if I do try to ping from Windows to this interface. So this is the traffic for intrazone or interzone.
Intrazone.
Intrazone.
Yes. So the very next task, we'll have to verify the log also. Like what exactly, which policies basically allow, which policy is basically allow my traffic and how exactly it look like. So let me just try to ping it from the machine, which is 10.1.4. So you can check it is basically working fine. So now you can understand how you can do manage these management services. All good. Now the next task, we have to verify the log. So in order to verify log, show session all. You can do check the sessions. So you can check there is lots of session which is basically coming from trust. So in order to check particular session, we can do use session ID. So session ID is 152. Show session ID 152. I'm going to do check this. So you can check C2S flow means client to server. If a machine which is trying to send data will always be considered as a client, and the destination will become server. Source 10.1.4 extension is this, is part of L3, and the remaining things you can do check accordingly. Return traffic 10.1.1.1, 10.1.4 is the destination. I already told you that ICMP based session will always be 6 seconds. And which rule or policy is allowed this traffic? Intrazone default. And you can check the traffic will having the interfaces which is ingress and egress. Ingress basically having 1/2 and egress also having 1/2. So all good till anyone having any doubt you can ask me. So the very last thing for today, if we do try to ping, let's say if I do configure this my management interface, DMZ interface, and if I do try to ping from LAN to DMZ, so does it ping or does it allow without any rule?
No, it will not be allowed.
It will not allow. In order to access my DMZ devices, we'll have to create
We need to
policy.
create the rule.
So first I'll do configure. I'll do show you one intrazone traffic flow. So we can do start vWire from tomorrow. So let's say in order to go from outside from this IP network 1.10.2.2, we'll have to provide default gateway. So either we can use default gateway command or we can simply give default route. So we have both options. We can do use accordingly. So the last task which we can do configure interface. So 1/3 basically 10.1.1.2. So just quickly typing default and zone, which is DMZL3 IP version 4 and 10.2.1/24, and now say connect. Okay, let's try to ping 372577. Now my routing table look like this. So after pushing this policy, we'll have to check 10.2.2.2. So policy just get applied and interface showing up 1, 2, 3. And if I do try to ping from Windows 3, so where is my Windows 3? Yes, this is my Windows 3. Ping space 10.2.2.2. It basically doesn't allow. So I'm continuously, I just do use continuous ping and try to create one policy which is to allow. And you can also do check the logs to deny, but the default logs are not enabled. So it doesn't shows any log to allow or deny. As I told you, it doesn't provide logs, but you can check hit counts are continuously getting increased. Policy hit counts means if any traffic matches with the policy, so hit counts also get changed. So if I do refresh, you can check because I have applied continuous ping. So policy count get changed from 23 to 35. So one last tool which I'm going to do create to allow traffic from trust to DMZ. In order to see it, we'll just have to click on add and we'll have to say allow trust to DMZ. And we'll have to click on source is my L3 trust DMZ. In order to control trust subnets, we can do mention particular subnet also. Later we'll do understand these cases also. For very first policy, I'll do allow everything based on zones, source zone, destination zones, application, I'm saying any, all services I'm gonna do allow, and I'm saying log, and action is allow, say okay. So whatever the policy you do create, it always be above this, and policy inspection always be performed from top to bottom. Means whenever traffic comes at your firewall, so first it will matches with rule number 1. If rule number 1 matches for particular policy, it doesn't go for below rules 2, 3. Is it clear to everyone? So just commit it, and once you do commit, you can do check. You can do check the result also. And there's one question for you guys. Does it ping or not after this? It doesn't ping. Does it ping or not? Guys, come on. Answer quickly if you do understand this. After doing this, does it ping or not?
But you haven't
I
allowed
just
the
allowed
service of
that
ping.
to DMZ.
Yes,
So
you have
when
allowed the
people
traffic.
reply, okay, I'm just going to do
Ping service is not allowed.
if you understand, you can give me answer. I'm not going to show you the result. I'm going to just show you how traffic goes. So source is 10.1.1.1.2. Destination is 10.2.2.2. And when I do ping, so what packet actually will send? Echo request and type code 8, ICMP type code 8. This is basically shows the query, this is ICMP echo request. When this device will do reply, how it do actually reply? So 10.2.2.2 in source, and destination would be 10.1.1.2. And ICMP echo reply type code 0. I'll do show you the packet also. So when reply traffic comes, from which direction it is going? From DMZ to trust. But we do create policy for trust to DMZ. So guys, now tell me, does it allow or not? Those who understand the whole system,
No.
they can give answer. One by one, you can do type in chat also. Aviral, can you just give me answer?
It won't, sir.
How you can say it won't? Abdul, you also understand? Dharmen, can you just tell me what will happen?
Sir, we have allowed the particular IP.
I think by
Get
default,
the
I believe in services we haven't allowed any. I believe in services we haven't allowed anything. Only source to destination traffic is good, but do we have to explicitly allow services like ICMP and all?
If I say any, so it means anything can go from trust to.
Correct. So when we
Why
say
is it
application tab,
allowed? Because firewall will maintaining state table for return traffic.
yeah. So it should allow, sir, because in a session table
Once you apply
return entry should.
everything just get allowed, and we create a rule. So that actually I was expecting the answer. Because since
The return
class
traffic
1 to
by
class we are doing this stateful and all packet filtering. You have to like understand in this manner. That's why I'm making it like very easy to understand. Otherwise, we can do directly configure these interfaces and we'll try to understand, oh, this is layer 3, layer 2, UAR and all. I'm just making it simple. So you have to be think like that, because Palo Alto is a stateful device. So it will do maintain session. Even if I do create one side policy, I have just allowed trust to DMZ, but reply when come. So it just get allowed based on state table. So the command which actually I was showing you, show session table, that is basically your state table. Let me just show you. Where is my Palo Alto? Yeah. So you can check every connection or every session which is basically going through this, your firewall will maintaining. Show session all. You can check all ping session will maintain by your firewall 10.1.4 to 10.1.1. So that I was actually trying to explain in third theory part when we were doing 1020. You can check. So source is this, destination is this, and reply traffic. S2C means reply traffic comes. So it just get allowed based on. So your firewall will do maintain. Sorry, I'll do show you session for 10.2.2 because it is the intra-zone traffic. So even you can do filter particular IP also. So session all, filter destination address. I've just closed. But when I do ping from this machine, when I do try to ping from this machine, from DMZ to LAN, so it doesn't allow because there is only one rule. Okay, I've already allowed. You can check there's not 10.2.2. I've just filtered destination, show session ID 1245. So when source is this, destination is this, L3 to L3 trust to DMZ L3. So you can check timeout is 6 seconds, and which rule is allowed? Trust to DMZ. Yeah, sure. So that's all about for today's session. I hope you all understand this basic architect. Tomorrow we'll basically start rewire. So you just have to revise all these things. Then you can understand You should have to clear all these things. That's why I was doing with very slow speed, so you can understand each and everything. So in next session tomorrow, we'll do understand wire deployment. Simple L3 deployment.
So before you disconnect, just to be clear, the last thing that you have explained us, which I got wrong, which I thought that it won't ping, but
Yes.
it just ping on the basis of the state table, which is
Yes, yes.
has been created by that, right? And when we try to communicate from DMZ to trusted,
It doesn't
won't do
allow.
that because we haven't
Yeah, it
prepared any
gives
kind
you,
of
oh,
rules.
this is new packet which is coming from DMZ to LAN. You take rule
Yeah.
for DMZ to LAN, so it do not get any rule, so it just drop. And which rule drop? Intrazone.
Intrazone. Yeah,
Intrazone
the
default.
third one, right?
All good?
Got it.
Okay, guys. So we'll meet on tomorrow and we'll do further start this.
All right, sir. Thank you
Okay.
for the today's session.